Can you be my mom for Christmas? Snow drifted softly through the foggy December air, melting as it touched the gray sidewalks of downtown San Francisco. Holiday lights shimmered faintly through the mist, golden halos strung across the lampposts, blinking over storefront windows, glowing gently in the early evening chill. Anne Whitmore sat alone on a park bench in Union Square, her breath forming small clouds before her face. Around her, the city buzzed faintly with Christmas cheer, couples laughing as they carried shopping bags, children chasing each other near the towering Christmas tree, the sound of a street musician playing a slow, wistful tune on a saxophone. And, 35, elegant and composed, sat in her tailored ivory coat and soft cashmere scarf, her phone glowing in her hands. CEO of Whitmore and Company. Media, the youngest in the company's history, she had spent the last decade chasing success until she caught it and found herself utterly alone. She didn't notice the tiny figure watching her from a few steps away. The girl couldn't have been older than 5, small, with wisps of pale blonde hair escaping from a wool hat too big for her. Her coat was brown and slightly oversized, the sleeves folded at the cuffs. In her gloved hand, she held a worn teddy bear with one ear missing. For a long moment, the child simply watched Anne. Then, gathering courage, she stepped closer. "Excuse me, ma'am," and looked up, startled. The girl's voice was soft, almost swallowed by the hum of the city. "Yes." Anne's tone softened automatically. The little girl stared at her with wide, serious eyes, the kind of eyes that seemed far too knowing for someone so young. Her voice trembled when she spoke again. "Can you be my mom for Christmas?" And froze. The question hit her like a jolt, unexpected, raw, painfully innocent. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. What did you say?" The girl looked down, clutching her bear tighter. "I don't have a mama anymore. She's in heaven. Daddy says she watches me from the stars, but I don't see her. And it's almost Christmas and her voice cracked. "I just want a mama for one day. Just Christmas Day." For a moment, Anne couldn't breathe. The child's face was flushed from the cold, but it wasn't just the weather that made her tremble. It was loneliness, the same quiet ache Anne carried inside her. "What's your name?" Anne asked gently. "Sophia," she said, almost in a whisper. "This is Mr. Bear." And smiled faintly. "Hello, Mr. Bear." Sophia smiled for a second, but then her eyes clouded again. "Daddy's over there." She pointed toward a man sitting on another bench a short distance away, phone pressed to his ear, his expression tired and strained. "He's always working. He says he has to, because it's just us now." And followed her gaze. The man, tall, dark-haired, maybe late 30s, looked exhausted. His voice carried fragments of frustration as he argued quietly into the phone. "Your dad looks busy," Anne murmured. "He's always busy," Sophia said softly. "I don't think he likes Christmas. I think it makes him sad." Anne's chest tightened. "Why do you think that?" "Because he looks like you do," the girl said simply. "Like he's carrying something heavy." And blinked, caught off guard. "You think I look sad?" The girl nodded. "Yes. Like you don't have anyone to share Christmas with either." The words slipped under Anne's skin like a needle through silk. She wanted to answer, to tell the child that she had everything anyone could want: success, money, a view of the bay from her penthouse window. But what came out instead was the truth. "Sometimes," Anne admitted quietly, "I do feel that way." Sophia hesitated, then whispered again, "So, could I spend one day with you? We could do things mamas and little girls do. I'll be good, I promise." Anne's throat tightened. She looked at Sophia, this fragile, hopeful child in the middle of a glittering city that had no time for innocence, and something shifted inside her. "Let me talk to your dad first," she said softly. "We need to make sure he says it's okay." Sophia's face lit up like the lights above them. "Really? You'll ask him?" And smiled. "I'll ask him." The little girl grabbed her hand, small, warm, trembling, and led her toward the man on the bench. As they approached and caught bits of his conversation, "I know the deadline, but I can't keep working 16-hour days. No, I don't have anyone else who can watch her. I'm doing the best I can." He ended the call quickly when he saw them coming. "Sophia, honey," he said gently, "I told you not to bother people." "I didn't bother her, Daddy. I asked her something important." And offered a calm smile. "It's okay. I'm in Whitmore." He shook her hand, still uncertain. "Daniel Hayes," he said. His handshake was firm, but his eyes looked wary, the eyes of a man who'd carried too much for too long. "Your daughter," Anne continued carefully, "asked if she could spend a day with me. She said she misses her mother. I wanted to ask if that might be all right. Of course, only if you're comfortable." Daniel's face softened, pain flickering beneath the surface. "Sophia, sweetheart, you can't just ask strangers things like that." "She's not a stranger," Sophia said quickly. "Her name's Anne, and she looks lonely like us." Anne's breath caught. The child's words were simple, but they struck deeper than any boardroom criticism ever had. Daniel exhaled slowly. "Miss Whitmore, I appreciate your kindness, but—" "You're not imposing," Anne interrupted softly. "And honestly, I think I might need this as much as she does." Something in her voice must have reached him, because he didn't say no. Instead, he gestured toward the bench. "Can we sit and talk about it?" They sat, and on one side, Daniel on the other, Sophia between them clutching her bear. And told them who she was, the CEO of a major firm, unmarried, no children, her life consumed by deadlines and expectations. That morning had been her 35th birthday, and she'd spent it completely alone. "I came here to think," she admitted quietly, "to ask myself if this is really the life I want." And then Sophia appeared. Daniel looked at her with quiet empathy. "She has a way of seeing people," he said. "Her mom was like that too." "What happened?" "She passed away 2 years ago," he said softly. "Cancer. Since then, it's been just us. I'm trying to be both parents, but," he trailed off, "I work in software. Long hours. And she needs things I don't know how to give." And hesitated, then said, "What if we tried something small? Maybe one day. You could have time to rest or work, and I could spend time with Sophia. Just one Saturday to start." Daniel studied her carefully. "Why would you do that?" And looked down at Sophia. "Because she asked if I was lonely, and I realized I am. Because I've spent years building success, but I forgot to build a life." He was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Let's exchange numbers. I'll think about it." That night he called. They talked for over an hour, cautiously at first, then openly. By the end, they'd agreed to try. One Saturday. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in people who still step up when the world turns away, take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to see will restore your faith in humanity. We'd love to know, where are you watching from? Comment below with your country and region, and let us celebrate the kindness that connects us all. The first Saturday, and arrived at 9 a.m., heart pounding like she was heading to an interview. Sophia opened the door in her little brown coat, clutching Mr. Bear. "You came. I promised, didn't I?" And smiled. They spent the morning at a cozy cafe near the marina, where they shared pancakes and hot chocolate with whipped cream. Then they visited the Children's Museum, the aquarium, and a Christmas market overlooking the bay. Sophia wanted to see everything, every carousel, every light, every snow globe in every window. She talked nonstop, asking questions about everything. At lunch, she looked up shyly. "My mama used to take me for hot chocolate before she got sick. I missed that." And felt tears rise. "Would you like to go again after lunch?" "Yes, please." They sat by the window, watching the rain fall in silver streaks outside, sipping from steaming mugs. For the first time in years, and felt something warm inside her that had nothing to do with the drink. Sophia told her about her mother, how she used to sing lullabies, make silly pancakes shaped like stars, and braid her hair into crooked braids that somehow always looked beautiful. "I'm not trying to replace her," Anne said softly. "I know," Sophia said. "Daddy says it's okay to love new people too. Mama would want that." She paused. "Do you care about me, Anne?" And hesitated only a second. "Yes, Sophia. I do." One Saturday turned into two. Then every weekend. And began to rearrange her schedule, leaving work earlier, delegating tasks she once guarded fiercely. Her assistant was shocked. "Are you feeling all right, Ms. Whitmore?" "I'm fine," Anne said with a smile. "Better than fine." They baked Christmas cookies together. Messy, misshapen stars dusted with too much sugar. They went ice skating at the Embarcadero rink, laughing until they both fell. They painted ornaments and decorated a small tree in Anne's apartment, where the scent of pine filled the once sterile space. And bought Sophia a little red coat for the holidays. Daniel protested, but only weakly. "You're giving her something I can't," he said one evening as he picked Sophia up. "You're giving her time and attention. Honestly, you're giving me something too. Space to breathe. Time to be a better dad." And smiled faintly. "She's giving me more than I could ever give back." 6 months later, Sophia invited Anne to her kindergarten's mother's and daughter's Christmas tea. "I know you're not my real mama," she said carefully, "but you're the closest thing I have." Anne's heart swelled. "I'd love to come." At the tea, the room was filled with laughter, cookies, and tiny cups of pretend tea. The teacher assumed Anne was Sophia's mother, and didn't correct her. Sophia introduced her proudly. "This is Anne. She's my special person." After the event, as they walked to the car, Sophia slipped her small hand into Anne's. "Thank you for coming," she whispered. "I was scared I'd be the only one without a mom there. But you came." And squeezed her hand. "I'll always come when you need me, sweetheart. Always." That night, Daniel invited her to stay for dinner. After Sophia went to bed, they sat at the kitchen table, the glow of Christmas lights reflecting off the window. "Can I ask you something?" he said quietly. "Of course." "When Sophia asked you that day, why did you really say yes?" And looked down at her mug, steam curling into the air. "Because it was my birthday. Because I realized I'd built this life full of success but had no one to share it with. Because I was sitting on that bench wondering if this was all there was. And then she appeared, this little girl who saw straight through my armor, and asked if I was lonely. And I couldn't lie to her." Her voice softened. "She saved me, Daniel. As much as I like to think I'm helping her, she saved me." Daniel reached across the table and took her hand. "You've saved us too. Both of us. Sophia's happier than she's been in years. And he hesitated, then said quietly, "I'm falling in love with you, Anne. I didn't plan it, but it happened." Anne's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too, both of you." A year later, they were married in a small ceremony overlooking the bay. Sophia, now 6, wore a white dress and carried a bouquet of tiny red roses, and Mr. Bear, freshly sewn and clean. At the reception, she gave a small speech that made everyone cry. "I asked Anne to be my mama for one day," she said seriously, and she said yes. And then she stayed. Every day. "She's not my first mama, but she's my forever mama." And wept openly, holding her close. 3 years later, Anne sat again on the same park bench in Union Square. Snow was falling gently, just like that first day. Beside her, Sophia, now 8, was reading a book, her legs swinging above the ground. In the stroller before them slept a baby boy with dark curls, her and Daniel's son. "What are you thinking about?" Sophia asked, glancing up. "About the day we met," and said, "about how you asked me if I was lonely." "Were you?" "Very," and whispered. "I didn't realize how much until you asked." Sophia smiled. "Are you still lonely now?" And looked at her, then at the baby, then toward the Christmas lights glowing around the square. No, sweetheart. Not anymore. Thanks to you. Sophia leaned her head on Anne's shoulder. You know what I think? What? I think sometimes angels come as little girls with teddy bears. And sometimes they come as sad ladies on park benches. And sometimes they find each other when they need to. Anne's eyes filled again. She kissed the top of Sophia's head. I think you're exactly right. Later, as the lights shimmered and the snow kept falling, and thought about how everything had begun, one question from a lonely little girl. Can you be my mom for Christmas? A question that had opened the door to everything she never knew she needed: connection, purpose, love. She had spent years building an empire, chasing success, chasing approval. But in the end, a child had shown her what truly mattered, not what she built with her hands, but what she opened in her heart. Now her life was filled with small, ordinary miracles: bedtime stories, Sunday pancakes, laughter echoing through the home she once returned to in silence. And every year, as Christmas lights flickered through the San Francisco fog, she remembered that day in the park, and the little girl with the brave heart who had changed everything. All because Anne Whitmore had looked up from her phone, seen a lonely child with a teddy bear, and said yes. One day had become forever. Anne, the woman who once had everything but love, finally understood what it meant to have it all.